Good morning. My name is Chris Hadden with Youth Pleasure Employers, and I'm delighted to be joined by Robert Cobbin, the General Manager at the Ipswich and Suffolk Club. Hello there, Robert.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for giving up your time to speak to me this morning. And I guess my start of 10 question really is to be, can you tell me about the Ipswich and Suffolk Club and what it is you do?
Well, the Ipswich and Suffolk Club is a private members club, but we're now open to the public for weddings and functions. My role is a general manager, and basically I run the business with backed up by a board of directors.
So general manager is one of those titles that maybe a lot of people might hear and they think like, okay, I've definitely heard about general managers working in various places, but if you ask me to define what a general manager does, they might struggle. So how would you define what you do as a general manager?
You effectively take ownership of the business, but you don't own the business. So you treat it as your own business, and as such, that's the way you carry it forward and become successful.
That's really interesting, and I like actually the fact that you say is that, yes, as a general manager, you take ownership of it, which is really good. And I've worked with a lot of general managers and spoken to a lot of general managers while I've been doing this role, and a lot of them say sort of different things. But actually, that's the first time that someone has said that, and I think you hit the nail on the head. As I say, sort of you are there to wear a lot of different hats, represent the business, take it forward. And on the subject sort of wearing different hats in different parts, so what different parts of the club are there, and sort of what different facilities and activities do you run?
That's the equivalent of a restaurant operation. So I've got a la carte restaurant with 60 covers. I've got a bistro with another 30 covers. I've got a bar which serves food as well, an outdoor terrace. I've got 2 snooker rooms. I've got conference facilities in the first floor, and I've got a huge car park that I have to manage as well, which is 70 car spaces with all the bandits. But in addition to that, then we've got I have to manage leased offices as well. I'm actually sat in one of my offices now. So I've got tenants that I have to look after as well, which is about 8 offices that are on this site as well.
Oh wow! I mean, so many different hats to wear, as say, going back to the previous one. And what kind of staff do you work with to help facilitate all of those different parts of the business?
I've got a team of 8, where I've got 2 qualified chefs. I've got 4 front of house team there, and then that's backed up by my very able accountant, and then other casual staff that we use on a permanent basis, if you can understand casual stroke permanent.
Yeah. And what kind of sort of, I say you've sort of touched on some of your amenities there, and what kind of skills are you looking for in the staff you have to facilitate those amenities, whether they be your permanent staff or casual staff? Imagine you've got, as I say, an evening going in one of your banquet rooms. What kind of soft skills are you looking for from those staff?
I think that the primary skill is I don't actually look for a lot of experience, because I can actually end up with somebody that's got all the wrong skills and been taught the wrong way. So really what I'm looking for is a young person, preferably, that has got personality, and that comes across when in their social skills with the general public.
It's funny you should mention that, because I guess coming in a young person to work in, I think a private members club has a sort of an old-fashioned stereotype around it, where it could probably be quite an intimidating environment to come in and work as a young person, as you say. So I guess that's probably where there's an extra need, as you say, for that personality, confidence in who you are, because you're going to be liaising with people from different backgrounds. It will probably be, unlike socializing or working with anyone that you've worked with before.
Yeah, you've got to be polite, but not. And again, there's what you've got to be personable. You've got to be engaging without being too informal. So it's a difficult balance, but I have found over the years that young people do rise to the occasion, and as such, if you go to college, right, you'll learn the actual basic skill set of the mechanics of the business, but the important thing is your personality on the actual shop floor, so to speak.
And if we talk about your role again, go specifically to the general manager, if someone was interested in doing that kind of role, like how do you sort of go about, how do I put it? You mentioned like you could, I'm guessing you might go from fixing the snooker table in the snooker rooms to, as you say, to suddenly having to run the a la carte menu, to doing this, how do you, what kind of skills do you utilize to do all those different things? And how do you go about feeling confident enough to, as I say, jump between all of these completely different tasks, whether it's, as you say, managing the car park, the office leasings, something to do in one of the hospitality environments?
Sadly, I'm afraid that skill set comes over time in many years. I started this career at 15, and I'm now 67, and I've been in this industry all those years. So, and started from the very beginning, lower ranks of an apprentice, and then worked my way through all of the restaurant and hotel environments. And as such, when you go through those environments, invariably things will go wrong, and somebody has to jump in and fix things, and mechanical things, and as such, over the years you pick up the skills, and then you utilize those as a general manager when you get to my age.
And out of the skills you picked up, what are the ones that you think are probably the ones that are the most important to you, the ones that you use on a daily basis, even if you don't realize you're using them?
Yeah, well, a businessman's head or woman's head. You've got to actually make some money. You can't just assume, right, that you're going to price something up and then assume that somebody's going to pay that kind of price. You have to work at it, and you have to make sure that you buy things right, make things right, get your portions right, and then sell it at the right price, because that's the way you make money. If you don't make money, you're dead in the water.
And I'm assuming that, as you say, that business person's head and that mentality, that only gets learned through making mistakes as well. I'm assuming it's a willingness to embrace and learn from them, because, as you say, you will indefinitely do things that you think, okay, maybe this will make me money, and it won't, or maybe you find something that's profitable which you never even thought it would be. As I say, I'm guessing learning from mistakes has got to be a big part of that.
Yeah, and sadly, every mistake you make costs you money. So it's been a long curveball, this one. So I've made mistakes over the years, especially with pricing, because the public are very fickle when it comes to pricing. They still think that prices should be based upon 1970. But you make mistakes, but frankly, you've got to learn from your mistakes and then move forward. You doesn't necessarily have to have a thick skin, but you just got to remember things and make sure you don't do it again, because it will hit you in the pocket.
which no one wants to be hit there. And if I go back to talk to you about some of the young staff you have come in, so you mentioned obviously you look for people with personality and confidence, and that sort of superseding experience. If you've got maybe a couple of CVs in front of you from young people looking for roles, what kind of things are you seeing, whether it's in their personal statement they write about themselves, their hobbies and activities, what kind of things are you seeing that will make you think, actually, I think you'd be a good fit here?
That's a difficult one. That really is difficult. I can't actually answer that totally, because every CV is individual, or should be. As you know, with AI now, I tend to get quite a few scripted CVs come through that are just literally plagiarized off the internet with all the standard phrases. So I spot those, and I tend to actually bin those. The CVs that I look for are the ones where the individual has actually paid attention to doing a little bit of research about the job they're applying for. And in other words, they've edited their CV so it targets me and this business, as in named this business, looked at us on the internet, and then actually thought, I want to apply for that job.
Yeah, I think that's a really sort of valuable insight. It's something I've had a lot of employees who I've spoken to, these employer docs, mention back, is, as you say, it's so easy to generate CVs, send lots of blanket CVs. A lot of people think that it's more important never to cast a very wide net, or actually, as you're saying, it's better to show you've done a bit of research. Yeah, show you've tailored it as much as possible, because I guess it puts across that extra desire to work there.
Yeah, if you put the effort in, I will put the effort in to make contact.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it, and I think that's very insightful for anyone applying. And we touched on this just earlier, so I usually ask a question about a typical day, but I'm very much getting the feeling that there's not a typical day for you, which is a brilliant thing. So
one of the enjoyable things about this job is no day is the same.
I guess that's probably why you're in it, isn't it? As I say, I guess that must be one of the attractive parts.
Yes, very much so. You're not packing bags of sugar in a factory.
and on that then, so what do the good days look like in the role, and what do the challenging days look like?
Well, the good days is when you get positive feedback. The bad days are when you get negative feedback. As simple as that. You can turn out the same meal or the same food to different people and get a completely different reaction. And as such, a good day is when you've had good feedback and you can go home and you can say, I've enjoyed that. I've made people happy.
I completely agree with that, and I've had a background of sort of working in hospitality in various places myself, and I completely agree with that. There's sometimes I've gone through very long shifts, and I've been like, what, the fact that person said, oh, thank you, that was a really lovely meal, or you served me really well. It's the little things like that that actually make you feel like, oh, you know what, that was a good day.
Yeah. It's important, right, to carry that through with you. That's why I'm still in the industry after all these years, because invariably, right, I get it right.
And just coming up to my final question now, and we've spoken a little bit about sort of your experience, your journey, and background. And if you could go back and speak to, say, 17 or 18-year-old Robert, you're about to sort of, I know you said you've been in it since you were 15, but if you could go back and speak to your younger self, taking into account successes you've had, mistakes you've maybe made and learned from, what is the one piece of career advice you would give to your younger self?
Do more academic studies while you're working. Try and improve yourself at a faster rate. In other words, if you can actually get into a job, earn some money, but don't sit on your laurels. You've really got to sort of look at your career in the long term and say, what can I now learn if I part-time college work, or as in like I did with environmental health and things like that. So I studied hard while I worked, and that assisted me then to climb the management ladder out of the general waitering elements that I was working in when I was a junior. So if I'd have actually applied myself a little bit harder at, like I say, some academic studies while I was working earlier in my career, I think I would have progressed into the management role faster.